Hello, everyone. Welcome to my YouTube channel. I hope you all are well. Learning English is an exciting journey, but for many people, speaking English can feel intimidating. Have you ever felt nervous about speaking in front of others, afraid of making mistakes, or being judged? If so, you're not alone. Many English learners struggle with confidence when it comes to speaking. They worry about their pronunciation, grammar, or whether people will understand them. But let me tell you something important. Confidence is not something you are born with. It is something you build through practice. Think about any skill you've learned in life. Whether it's riding a bicycle, playing a musical instrument, or learning to swim, you didn't start out as an expert. At first, it felt challenging. You made mistakes, fell down, and had to try again and again. But over time, with consistent effort, you improved. Speaking English is exactly the same. The more you practice, the better and more confident you will become. Now, let's talk about something crucial: your mindset. The way you think about speaking English can either help you or hold you back. If you believe that making mistakes is bad, you'll always feel afraid to speak. But if you see mistakes as part of the learning process, you'll grow much faster. Even native speakers make mistakes in their own language. The key is to keep going and not let fear stop you. Imagine yourself a few months from now, speaking English fluently and confidently. Picture yourself having conversations without hesitation, expressing your thoughts clearly, and feeling proud of your progress. That future version of you is possible, but only if you take the first step today. Confidence doesn't come from waiting until you feel ready. It comes from taking action, even when you're unsure. So, how can you start improving? Here's a simple truth. The more you speak, the more confident you will become. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to know every word. You just need to start speaking. The more you practice, the easier it will get. Throughout this video or story, I will share powerful techniques that will help you overcome your fear, improve your speaking skills, and build the confidence you need to speak English fluently. By the end, you'll have practical strategies you can start using today. So, are you ready to take this step with me? Let's begin your journey to confident English speaking. Speaking a new language can be exciting, but for many learners, it can also feel overwhelming. Have you ever hesitated to speak English because you were afraid of making mistakes? Have you ever stayed silent in a conversation, even when you knew what you wanted to say, simply because you lacked confidence? If so, don't worry. You are not alone. Fear of speaking English is one of the biggest challenges learners face. But here's the good news. Fear is something you can overcome. Before we talk about how to overcome this fear, let's first understand where it comes from. Most people fear making mistakes because they worry about being judged. They think, what if I say something wrong? What if people laugh at me? What if I embarrass myself? This fear is completely normal. No one likes feeling vulnerable, especially in front of others. But let's look at this from another perspective. Have you ever met someone who was learning your native language? Maybe they mispronounced a word or made a grammar mistake. Did you laugh at them? Probably not. In fact, you likely admired their effort, and wanted to help them. Most people are kind and understanding when they see someone trying to learn a new language. So why do we expect them to judge us when we make mistakes in English? The truth is, making mistakes is a natural part of learning. Think about how children learn to speak. When babies start talking, they don't speak perfectly. They mispronounce words, use incorrect grammar, and mix up sentences. But do they stop speaking because of their mistakes? No, they keep going. They learn from their mistakes, and over time, they improve. This is exactly how language learning works. The more you speak, the better you get. But if you never speak because of fear, you'll never improve. Now, let's change the way we think about mistakes. Instead of seeing them as failures, think of them as stepping stones to success. Every mistake you make is an opportunity to learn and improve. Imagine if you tried to learn how to play the guitar, but never touched the instrument because you were afraid of playing the wrong notes. Would you ever improve? Of course not. You have to play, make mistakes, and practice consistently to get better. Speaking English works the same way. You cannot become fluent by only studying grammar or memorizing vocabulary. You have to use the language, and yes, that means making mistakes. But every time you make a mistake, you learn something new. Every mistake is a lesson that brings you one step closer to fluency. Now that we understand why mistakes are necessary, let's talk about how to reduce the fear of speaking. Here are some powerful techniques that will help you build confidence. You don't need to start by having long, complex conversations. Instead, begin with short and simple sentences. Try saying things like, "Hello, how are you? I like to read books. My favorite food is pizza." These small steps will help you feel more comfortable speaking. Over time, as you gain confidence, you can move on to longer sentences and conversations. Find someone who is patient, kind, and encouraging. This could be a friend, a teacher, a language partner, or even a family member. When you speak with someone who supports you, you won't feel as nervous about making mistakes. Instead of judging you, they will help you improve. If you don't have someone to practice with, consider joining an English-speaking group online. There are many language exchange programs where you can find people who want to practice English with you. The more you practice with supportive people, the more confident you will become. If you are too afraid to speak with others right away, start by speaking alone. Yes, you read that, right? Talk to yourself. This is one of the most effective ways to build confidence. Here's how you can do it. Stand in front of a mirror and practice speaking. This helps you see your facial expressions and body language, making you feel more comfortable when speaking to others. Record yourself speaking, play it back, and listen to how you sound. Don't focus on perfection. Just focus on getting used to hearing your own voice in English. Narrate your daily activities. For example, while cooking, say, "Now I am cutting vegetables. Next, I will put them in the pan." This simple exercise will help you become more comfortable forming sentences. One powerful technique to improve confidence is shadowing. This means listening to a native speaker and repeating what they say immediately after them. Try this. Find an English podcast, TV show, or YouTube video. Play a short sentence. Pause the video and repeat the sentence, trying to match the pronunciation and rhythm. Keep practicing until you sound more natural. This exercise helps you get used to speaking English without hesitation. The more you practice, the more fluent you'll become. One of the biggest reasons people fear speaking English is because of negative self-talk. If you constantly tell yourself, "I'm not good at English," "I will make mistakes," or "people will laugh at me," then you will always feel afraid. Instead, replace these thoughts with positive affirmations. I am learning, and it's okay to make mistakes. Every time I speak, I improve. I am becoming more confident every day. Your mindset plays a huge role in your progress. If you believe in yourself, you will feel more confident when speaking. Fear fades away with experience. The more you expose yourself to speaking English, the easier it will become. Look for opportunities to use English in real life. Order food in English at a restaurant. Ask for directions in English when traveling. Speak with a shop assistant in English. Join online discussion groups and participate in conversations. The more you practice, the less fear you will feel. Fear of speaking English is completely normal, but you don't have to let it stop you. Mistakes are not something to be afraid of. They are proof that you are learning and improving. Every confident English speaker you admire once felt just like you. They were also afraid at the beginning, but they pushed past their fear and kept practicing. Now, it's your turn. Start speaking today. It doesn't matter if it's just a few words or sentences. The important thing is that you take action. Remember, making mistakes is part of learning. Confidence comes with practice. You are capable of improving every single day. So, are you ready to overcome your fear and start speaking with confidence? Take that first step today. And soon, speaking English will feel natural and effortless. You can do it. If you want to speak English better, you need to listen more. I know it sounds simple, but trust me, it makes a huge difference. Many people think that speaking practice is the most important part of learning a language. Of course, speaking is important, but if you don't listen enough, how will you know how words should sound? How will you learn natural sentence structures and common expressions? Think about how babies learn to speak. They don't start by talking right away. First, they listen to their parents, their siblings, and the people around them. They hear the sounds, the rhythm, and the flow of the language. After months of listening, they start to say their first words. The same process works for you. So, where should you start? The best way is to surround yourself with English as much as possible. Listen to English podcasts, watch TV shows, and pay attention to how native speakers talk. Even if you don't understand everything at first, don't worry. Your brain is learning, even when you don't realize it. One of the best things you can do is listen and repeat. When you hear a phrase in a podcast or a movie, pause and say it out loud. Try to copy the pronunciation and rhythm. This technique, called shadowing, helps you improve your speaking naturally. Another great habit is listening to English while doing daily activities. Play a podcast while you're walking, cleaning, or commuting. Make English a part of your daily life. The more you listen, the more comfortable you'll feel with the language. I know that at first it might seem difficult. You might feel frustrated when you don't understand everything, But don't give up. With time, your ears will get used to the sounds of English, and speaking will become much easier. So, if you're struggling with speaking, start listening more. Listen every day, repeat what you hear, and soon you'll find yourself speaking English with more confidence. All right, let me tell you something important. Confidence in speaking English doesn't come overnight. It's something you build little by little, just like learning to ride a bike. At first, you might feel wobbly, unsure, maybe even scared. But the more you do it, the easier it gets. I remember when I first started speaking English. I was terrified of making mistakes. Every time I opened my mouth, I felt like people would judge me. But guess what? Most people don't care if you make mistakes. In fact, they appreciate the effort. Here's what I did. I started small. I talked to myself when I was alone. Simple things like, "Good morning," or "Today is a beautiful day." It felt strange at first, but soon I got used to the sound of my own voice in English. Then I took it a step further. I practiced with a friend who was also learning. We made a rule: no fear, no judgment. If one of us made a mistake, we laughed and kept going. That helped more than I can explain. The real breakthrough? I started talking to strangers, ordering coffee, asking for directions, small conversations here and there. The first few times, my heart raced, but I did it anyway. And you know what? No one laughed. No one corrected me rudely. They just talked back, like it was normal. Because it was. Confidence isn't about being perfect. It's about speaking even when you're not perfect. Every mistake teaches you something. Every conversation makes you better. So don't wait until you feel ready. Start now. Speak a little today, a little more tomorrow, and one day, without even realizing it, you'll be speaking confidently. Trust me, I've been there, and if I can do it, so can you. All right, let me tell you something really important. If you want to improve your English, consistency is the secret. It's not about how much time you spend in one go. It's about doing it regularly, every day, little by little. Think about learning a musical instrument, for example. Imagine you want to play the guitar. You don't expect to pick it up and play like a pro after one day of practice, right? No, it takes time. You have to practice every day, even if it's just for 10 or 15 minutes. You start with simple chords, then work your way up. Maybe at first, your fingers hurt, and the sound isn't great. But over time, those little sessions add up. Your fingers become faster and more accurate, and soon you're playing full songs. It's the same with language learning. When I first started, I thought if I studied for hours, I'd get better quickly. But I realized that wasn't the case. I wasn't staying consistent, and that made it harder. So I changed my approach. I decided to set aside time every day, no matter how little. Even if it was just 10 minutes in the morning or 15 minutes before bed, I made sure to do something every single day. I started by setting small, realistic goals. Maybe it was to learn 5 new words today, or to practice a simple conversation with a friend. Or I'd listen to a podcast while walking to the store. It didn't have to be a big task. It just had to happen every day. Those small things, when done regularly, started to build up. And here's the thing. Over time, I noticed that those small daily practices made a huge difference. My vocabulary expanded, my grammar improved, and I began to feel more comfortable speaking. It didn't happen all at once, but every day I saw progress. That's the power of consistency. Now, I'm not saying it's always easy. There will be days when you feel like you don't have the time or the energy, and that's okay. On those days, just do a little bit. Maybe you'll listen to a podcast or repeat a few phrases. You don't have to do everything perfectly. The key is just showing up every day, even when it feels like you're not making huge progress. Another way to stay consistent is to track your progress. You can use a language learning app, keep a journal, or just make a checklist of what you want to work on each day. As you check off those tasks, you'll feel motivated to keep going. Celebrate the small wins, like when you finish a book in English or when you finally understand a movie without subtitles. These are all signs of progress. And don't forget to be kind to yourself. Language learning is a journey, and it's not about perfection. It's about showing up, even on the days when it feels tough. The more you practice, the more natural it will feel, and the faster you'll improve. I can tell you, from my own experience, that consistency is what made the difference. It's easy to get discouraged, especially in the beginning, but as long as you keep practicing, even in small ways, you'll see improvement. Just like playing an instrument, language learning takes time and dedication. But the reward is so worth it. Stick with it, and you'll be amazed at how much progress you can make with consistent effort. So, what can you do today to stay consistent? Maybe it's writing in English for 10 minutes, learning a few new words, or watching a short video in English. Whatever it is, just make sure it's part of your daily routine. If you can do that, you'll keep improving, step by step, every single day. And soon enough, you'll look back and realize just how far you've come. All right, let's dive into some practical exercises you can do every day to improve your speaking skills. I know sometimes it feels like speaking in English is a big challenge, but the good news is there are a lot of simple and effective ways you can practice. These exercises don't need to take a lot of time, but if you make them part of your daily routine, you'll see huge improvements in your fluency. First things first, repetition is key. One of the best ways to get better at speaking is by repeating sentences you hear. You don't have to understand everything right away, but try to listen to short sentences or phrases and repeat them. It could be something you hear in a podcast, a conversation, or even in a movie. This exercise helps you get the feel for how English sounds. You can practice the rhythm, intonation, and even the pronunciation by repeating what you hear. For example, if you're listening to a podcast, pause it after a sentence and try to repeat exactly what was said. Focus on sounding as close as possible to the speaker. It's like trying to shadow them. This exercise is also great for improving your accent and making your speech sound more natural. The more you repeat, the more familiar the sentences will feel to you, and you'll start speaking with more confidence. Another fantastic exercise is recording yourself. Yes, I know it can feel a little strange at first, but trust me, it works wonders. Start by reading a short passage aloud or saying something you've written. Record your voice and listen to it. This will help you hear where you might be mispronouncing words or where you can improve your tone. When I did this exercise, I was surprised to hear how much I needed to work on my pronunciation. But once I knew what needed improvement, I could focus on fixing it. You can also use this technique to track your progress over time. For example, record yourself reading the same passage or speaking about the same topic every week. Compare how you sound now with how you sounded last month. You'll be amazed at how much better your pronunciation, fluency, and confidence become over time. Now let's talk about something that's absolutely essential for improving your speaking skills: reading aloud. This might seem basic, but it's actually really powerful. Pick up a book, article, or even a short blog post in English and read it aloud. This helps with pronunciation, fluency, and understanding how English sentences are structured. The more you read aloud, the more you'll notice how English words flow together in conversation. It'll help you with your overall speaking ability. I highly recommend you do this every day, even if it's just for 5 to 10 minutes. Read different things to challenge yourself. If you're a beginner, start with something simple, like a children's book or short news articles. As you get more confident, move on to more complex material, like novels or interviews. One of the most important exercises to improve your speaking is engaging in conversations with others. This is where you'll really start to feel the difference. You might feel nervous at first, and that's completely normal. But the more you talk to others in English, the more you'll grow comfortable with the language. You'll learn how to respond quickly, think in English, and express yourself more clearly. You can find a language partner or a friend who speaks English and set aside time to talk. If you don't have anyone around, you can join online language exchange groups, where you can connect with people from all over the world. Practice speaking with someone every day, even if it's just for a few minutes. The key is to have real conversations where you use the language actively. Don't worry about making mistakes. Remember, that's part of the process. The more you speak, the more you'll get used to it, and the easier it will become. If you can't find someone to speak with right away, start by speaking to yourself. I know that might sound strange, but it really works. You can talk about your day, describe what you see around you, or even pretend you're explaining something to someone. This helps you practice speaking in real-world situations. For example, while you're cooking, you could describe the steps you're taking in English. Or, if you're taking a walk, try describing the scenery in English. By doing this, you're training your brain to think in English, which will make real conversations much easier. Another great exercise is using English in your daily life. Try to immerse yourself in the language as much as possible. This could mean labeling things around your house with their English names, watching your favorite TV shows in English, or reading news articles online. Even if you're not speaking with someone, just being surrounded by the language helps you learn and get used to how it's used in different situations. For example, when you're at the store, try reading the labels on the products in English. If you're watching a movie, try to watch it without subtitles, or use English subtitles if you need them. The more you expose yourself to English in real-world situations, the better you'll understand the language and the more comfortable you'll become with speaking it. It's also helpful to set specific speaking goals. For instance, aim to have one short conversation in English every day. Or, challenge yourself to speak for 5 minutes about any topic you like. You can even set a goal of introducing yourself to someone new in English. Setting small goals like these will keep you motivated and will help you see progress in your speaking skills. Don't forget to have fun with your practice. Learning a language doesn't have to be boring. You can make it fun by watching English movies, listening to music, or even playing language games. The key is to practice consistently and to use English as much as you can in your everyday life. In the end, improving your speaking skills comes down to using the language as much as possible. Speak every day, repeat sentences, record yourself, and read aloud. The more you practice, the better you'll get. Keep practicing, and soon you'll find yourself speaking English with more ease and confidence.